Well, 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 look who's back. Who's back? It's us. We are back. It's Garden America. I'm Brian Main. Tiger Palafox. Yes, John Bagnasco is here because next week he's off. So it's going to be a great show with John today and the rest of us. Thank you for putting up with us not being on the air last week. I hope you had a chance to go back and maybe watch or listen to one of our previous shows, podcasting, Alexa, whatever that case may be. But we are here today, no guest, because we have a special show lined up. As you probably saw prior to us going live, we have some plants in the studio brought in by Tiger. Next week, John, you'll be in Hawaii.
Kona,
Kona,
Kailua area.
And what are you going to do? What does a guy like you do in Hawaii?
I was telling Tiger the only thing I want to do, because I know it's the last chance I'll ever have to do it, is to visit. It's true. It's true, right? Visit the green sand beach.
This is your bucket list?
It's on my bucket list.
Your bucket's pretty full, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a 6-mile hike each way.
You're fine.
You're
fine.
There's
Come
no
on.
way Shannon can hike 6 miles.
Do 3.
Do 3?
Yeah, do 3. Carry her the other 3. Good idea, Tiger. Do what you can.
We did look up, and there's a guy that's usually there with a truck that for $20 will get you within 2 miles.
There you go.
So it's not really a hike.
Yeah.
It's just get us there. Then it's like the
You know why
marathon
the
runners. Like the marathon runners, right? And they, when the race is almost over, they come in and do the last 2 miles or so.
You know why the sand is green there, right?
Yeah, envy.
No, it's olivine, which is a semi-precious stone. The entire beach.
Imagine if you were a stone and you were only semi-precious, and your goal was to be precious one day.
Well, what if you weren't precious at all?
True.
Like, there's stones out there that just
You guys
aren't
are both precious to me, I got to tell you.
So give us a little more on that. That's interesting information. Did you want to elaborate on that?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
The green sand beach, is it one of those beaches, though, that it's like the jungle goes into the beach and there's like palm trees and shrubbery all the way around? Or is it one of those, because you were saying it's the dry side also. Is it one of those beaches that it's rocky and all of that? Kind of no shade beaches.
Right.
Is one of those wide open.
Right,
hot
and you've
beaches.
got to go down the volcanic cliffs to get to the beach.
Oh, okay.
You can YouTube it.
Yeah,
It looks
that's
good.
cool. Okay.
Anyway, Tanya, thanks for the comment on the pictures. She liked our throwback pictures.
Yeah, okay, so as everyone knows, John is responsible for the newsletter.
Exactly.
And I asked him where he got the pictures, and he didn't want to answer the question, Tiger.
Yeah.
He goes, don't worry, I have my ways.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a flower child hippie thing here. And he made me look the oldest.
He
made himself look 20.
He got photos of us back when we went to the Woodstock reunion.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to keep my picture, though. I'm keeping that picture. I can use that somewhere.
I think it makes you look good. It makes you look wise. You know,
It
when you
does.
talk about a garden guru,
That is a garden guru for
And
sure.
as I mentioned to you, you look like one of the apostles, and Tiger looks like the son of somebody that was at Woodstock.
Yeah, exactly.
He was born at Woodstock.
I look like exactly. I was conceived in Woodstock for sure.
Well, there were people conceived at Woodstock.
I'm sure there's
you want to
plenty
read
of them.
Carla's note, John, on Facebook?
Oh, Carla? I did not see it. Let me bring it up here.
Yeah, those are funny pictures.
Yeah, they're good, John.
Yeah,
That's one of your best work.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
One of your best work.
Works.
One of his best works.
Yeah.
He's a work in progress.
Oh, I see Carla's note here. She said she loved the flashback photos. When I first saw tigers, I thought, what kind of guest is that? Then she laughed out loud.
Yeah.
Such handsome hippies.
No, that's funny.
Yeah,
There's definitely been posters on her bedroom wall.
Hey, there you go.
I feel
Right
John,
next to David Cassidy, right, Carla?
John's is like questionable though. Like it kind of looks like him, but he doesn't.
Yeah, it's because you see how young he made himself
Well,
look?
and then yours.
Now, wait a
is
second.
Also,
I used an
questionable.
app on yours. For mine, I just got an old photo.
Yeah.
What app are you using, by the way? It's
a
one of those things
Hippie maker.
It's one of those things that can make you look young, isn't it? It can kind of take your picture back in time.
It was a hippie app.
Oh.
And you have to put in a photo of yourself, and then there's
It
a
makes
couple
it.
preset ones that make you look like a
And then you can play around with it.
right.
That's funny.
Dana is she at the Grand Canyon? She had a little
I don't
echo.
know.
A little echo. Hello.
Oh, is that when we were not on the air at exactly 8:06?
Oh, I thought it was earlier.
I think she
I
said,
thought-
"Come on, guys, it's 8:06. Let's go."
I thought I messed up on the audio. I double-checked myself right now.
Hey, Rick in Star, Idaho says that one of the local nurseries is having an event on houseplants today.
It is a houseplant
Ooh.
show today, right?
Look at
guys?
that. We timed it well.
Yeah.
Right, which was the reason for the hippie
Right, the 70s.
photos was because of the last houseplant craze, and now
And
there's another houseplant craze.
And as John mentioned, that is a photo of him during the last houseplant craze. You were a big houseplant guy, John, right?
I was. My first book was called Plants for the Home, Volume 1.
And do you remember the exact number you told us before when you lived in Michigan in your little condo apartment?
Shanty.
How many houseplants you had? It was hundreds.
I had almost 300.
Yeah.
You want to
And
know
it was-
300 houseplants.
You want to know the ego this guy had?
And it took me 4 hours to water them.
And it was an apartment or something, right? Didn't you say?
It was a condo, yeah.
Yeah, condo.
Okay, you know the ego this guy has? He writes a book, right? Volume 1.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be many more.
Oh yeah.
No, John, good job on that. We had houseplants. We had spider plants, wandering Jews. What else did we have?
Growing up
No, in college.
in college.
In college, yeah. In this house.
Did you have a false Aurelia? That was a big plant also back then.
The Disagothica,
Yeah.
There's a Gothica.
elegantissima.
Yeah. Yeah. It looked like marijuana.
And Kevin wants to know whatever happened to Creeping Charlie's.
They
That's another
changed
one.
them to Tridescantius.
No, there's still
Oh.
Plectranthus.
Plectranthus.
Yeah. But do you know that in Michigan...
Creeping Charlie sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? Like
in
somebody
Michigan,
outside
they
your
w-
window.
Yeah. In Michigan, they weren't called Creeping Charlies. They were called Swedish Ivy.
Yeah.
So you said... Actually, Creeping Charlie was a pilea
Oh.
and Numerifolia, that one. But definitely you would never call the Swedish Ivy Creeping Charlie. I had problems when I moved from Detroit to San Diego because of common names, were different.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is fun. We should do you know what? I'm going to work on that. Is a show where we talk about common names of plants and maybe why we've changed them or the story behind the common name.
Some names are just regional. Like
Yeah.
in the South, they call impatiens busy Lizzies.
Right.
No one in California calls
Never.
them busy Lizzies.
Never. That's just silly.
Really? That does. I don't even
That's
see
just silly name.
What's
Yeah.
it? You know what it is? It's a joke.
All our
It's a big
listeners
joke,
down
Tiger.
south are turning off the radio, Tiger.
We're kidding. We just want to see if you're paying attention. Carla needs suggestions for houseplants that will thrive in lower light.
Ooh.
Don't we all?
Sansevieria,
Sansevieria.
yeah, will grow anywhere.
Or ZZ plant. Do you know what's the botanical name on the ZZ?
Zamioculcas, Zamiofolia.
ZZ
Look at
plant.
that brain energy
So,
vitamin he takes is working.
I think I've told this story before on air. And who was it? Carla who asked?
Carla,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. We put ZZ plants in restaurants on, like in a restaurant, you'll see a plant on a shelf. And you're
Yeah,
like,
sure.
How do they get to that shelf
How does it
To
even
water it.
to water it
Yeah.
or anything like that?
and how does it survive?
And how does it survive?
They bring in a hose at night, don't they?
We put ZZ plants on those shelves and will not touch them for months. And then what we do is we just wait for it to one day die.
And just replace
And
it.
then we just swap it out. And because it will survive no water, no light for months. And so imagine if you actually took care of it.
Wouldn't that be a great plant for a first-time plant person that's never grown a plant in his life?
Well, kind of
Her
like
life?
the Sansevieria, the ZZ plant though, also if you over take care of it, they die. So that it is a great plant if somebody is very neglectful. But if they're the kind of person that actually is wanting to take care of houseplants, grow houseplants, they want to learn.
they want to be involved.
It's a bad plant for them,
Right.
Because they don't know how to lay off a little bit.
But if nobody's ever grown a plant and says, I want to start, I think I'm going to start a hobby and I want to grow stuff. Well,
As long as they're neglectful.
Here, we're going to give you one that you don't need to worry about. Let's see how you do with that one.
Yeah.
Because if you kill that one, you can't do this.
Yeah.
You can't be a gardener if you kill that plant.
Yeah, a lot of people kill them from overwatering.
John, we have, probably not enough time before the break for your quote of the week.
Well, why don't we do it when we come
It's
back?
a good quote, and that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio so that you can hear all of our great sponsors on Biz Talk Radio. Thank you for tuning in. The rest of you on Facebook Live, we are coming right back. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Stay with us. We're talking houseplants here on Garden America. We are back from the break. We're excited to be back in studio. Hope you had a good week, having a good weekend. We look forward to next week, obviously. John is in Hawaii, won't be here next week. Tiger, myself, will figure something out.
Show's going to the birds.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. John's got the quote of the week, which is an exciting quote. Good quote, John.
The quote's from your buddy, Monty Don.
Now, wait a second.
that-
It sounds like the name should be Don Monty, doesn't it?
Is that
Do you know what? That was running through my head, and I thought I'm not going to say that,
No.
but we think alike often.
A lot we do.
Is that the Holy Grail guy?
No, you're thinking of Monty Python.
Oh yeah.
But Monty Don sounds like someone took their name and reversed it.
Yeah.
What's
it
your name?
does.
My name's Don Monty. What's your name? Monty Don. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
Anyway, he said that when you plant something, you invest in a beautiful future amid a stressful, chaotic, and at times downright appalling world.
And that was Monty Don.
That was.
One of Tiger's
Oh,
favorite.
Monty Don is the English gardener.
British gardener.
British
right?
gardener.
Yeah.
Yes, Monty Don. He had the golden retrievers. I know who he is now. Yes, got him. All right.
Good. We're all set and ready to go.
We were talking about plants for low light conditions.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Hermine Stover, I think, wrote the first book on Sansevieria that came out in the 70s. And she had a drawing in there of how to make a Sansevieria ashtray.
What?
Yeah, it's like she would have she had a picture of a Sansevieria and then all these drawings and arrows and bottle cap goes here.
Bottle.
Yeah, when you put out your cigarette, you put it here.
Put it here?
Yeah. And it was just that they're so tough that you can't kill them.
Do you know? I mean, I know Sansevieria tolerate very low light situations. Where are they? Do you know where they're native to?
Africa.
Africa?
Yeah.
Like jungle Africa though, where they
Yeah.
do
The
they
bottom of the
grow?
jungle.
No.
Do they grow in low light where they're native to, or no?
Yes, but they grow in the plains
Oh.
where there's usually some type of tall plants that cover
That
them
cover
up.
them up. Okay.
Right.
Because I always find that interesting with low light plants, like where they're native to.
Well, like the
'Cause
Amazon.
they have to.
and
Yeah,
the
that's
ones
what I'm
in the
saying.
bottom of the jungle.
They have
the
to
jungle
tolerate
floor,
that
right? Because they're
dark-
covered all the time.
Yeah.
So other low light plants would be philodendrons
Mm-hmm.
and pothos. Your pothos has been in here is it
No.
still here?
You know what? After 5 or 6 years or whatever it was, I finally got rid of it.
Really? It was still alive.
You know what? It committed suicide.
Yeah.
But this is a room with no light
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Whatsoever.
And all the wrong conditions.
Yeah.
And we had it, 5, 6 years?
And it was just sitting in water.
And all the roots at the bottom. I'd pour the water out about maybe every couple of weeks and fill it with water. It just got too leggy. The roots just looked terrible.
I thought you would put a fish in there.
Yeah.
I used to have remember I used to have
beta.
betas in here.
Yeah. I think
Years
they're
ago.
betas.
Beta?
Yeah. Beta follows alpha in the Greek alphabet.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's exactly
But
right.
I think beta's the fish.
So pothos.
Lisa wants me to
Phil-
call in from Hawaii.
Okay.
I don't know if I.
You want to?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to interrupt your guest.
And Rick wants to know about the potting soil that you use for houseplants.
So I recommend anything very well draining because, when you're dealing with potted houseplants, you're watering them, getting them to dry out is sometimes the most challenging thing. When a plant's outside in a pot, it will dry out naturally very easily because you've got sunlight, you've got airflow, all of that stuff working with you. Sometimes when you water a plant inside, it can stay wet for weeks inside depending on how you keep your home.
You know how to get over that
How?
or to pot up so you don't have to worry about it.
What?
What was our friend Tanya, right?
From
San
Florida?
Jose? Oh, no, from
Tatiana?
Tucson.
No.
Who?
They advertised with us on those little pyramid.
Oh, the why can't I, the Plant Warrior?
Plant
Yeah,
Warrior.
that's
Plant Warrior.
That's what they're called.
Pyramids. Yeah.
Plant
Yes,
warriors.
Plant Warrior.
And you can Google the information, but
Yeah.
if you put that in the pot, you'll be amazed. You don't have
Yes.
to ever worry about waterlogging or overwatering any of your plants.
And they're a good sponsor of ours, so please support them,
Yeah.
ladies
It
and
creates a
gentlemen.
good void
Yes.
of airflow in the bottom of the pot.
yeah,
Right.
and then you can use any kind of
Yes.
soil.
So Plant Warrior, you can go to their website, good sponsor of the show. We may have her on again this year. We'll see what happens.
But I think one of the biggest
Root Warrior.
issues, aside from overwatering plants with a heavy potting soil, is the development of gnats. But again, that just comes from keeping the soil too damp, which too damp. People say, "Oh, I only water it once a week," but it's like, yeah, if it never dries out, it's still too damp.
Right.
And what John mentioned with the plant water is definitely a good recommendation, because cheap potting soils that you'll buy. I mean, I don't want to, at the like. Some people will just buy potting soil from like a grocery store.
And they have no nutrients.
Well,
in the
not just
soil.
no nutrients. They're all like peat based, and they just they hold the moisture, and they don't allow things to naturally drain well, and they're kind of mucky and muddy, and those are not good to
Yeah,
use.
so is the
for
purpose-
houseplants?
Would the thinking there be trying to keep it moist so you don't have to water all the time?
Yeah, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I'm going to use something like
Yes.
these Miracle Grow moisture retention
Which is really
soils."
the opposite of what you want to do, because sometimes you want plants to dry out a little bit.
Right. They need to.
Yes.
They need to. And in houseplants for sure, because they'll develop an odor, they'll develop gnats. Again, like I just said, it's not as easy for the plant to drain. A lot of times they drain into a saucer indoors.
Right.
And then if that saucer just stays with water, it wicks back up into the soil. So
If
yeah.
you don't want to empty the saucer after you've watered it, if you put pebbles down in the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
gravel, then
it raises.
it raises the plant up so it's not sitting in the water.
Yeah.
And during the winter months, if you're in a cold area with low humidity, that would really help raise the humidity around the plant.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a funny thing for houseplants, right? Because we talk about that where in the summertime, you're cooling your house, and so you actually are watering your plants sometimes less than in the wintertime when you're heating your house and you're drying it out, and so you actually have to water your houseplants more.
Right.
People
Yeah.
don't think about that. Like, oh, it's winter, it's cold, I'm not going to water my plants. And the next thing you know, you look over, they're all wilting. It's because you've been running your heater at 78 degrees for
Yes,
5 days.
Sucked all the moisture out of the air.
Yeah.
What about Hastam? Did you see his question?
Yeah, I
John?
did. Our buddy Hastam wants to know how many days he can keep a plant indoors.
Oh,
It depends. If it's a house plant and it's acclimated to low light, we were just talking about how you had your pothos in here for 5 years with no light. And if you've got a window in your home and you can keep it near a window, I would say you could keep the plant indefinitely. You have a Dracaena at your house you've had that for how many years?
Since 2009.
wow.
That's a long time.
Yeah. It's a long time. And I just water it and kind of let it do its thing. Once in a while, fertilizer. Very easy to take care of, at least from my experience.
Yeah. A lot of people ask what kind of plants are naturally house plants.
Mm-hmm.
And
None of them are.
None of them are, right? Because, we've often said if you go in a cave, what kind of plants do you see in there? And that's what our homes are, is caves.
Yeah.
But if you can let in light, and then it depends on how much light the plant needs.
We're going to
Brian.
do a break. We're talking about light, how much light
All right,
indoor plants need.
Right, remind me of that when we come back from
Caves.
the break. Yeah.
Our house are caves.
No,
We're going
don't-
to take a break.
Get rid of the caves because
Biz Talk
that's going to
Radio.
throw me off.
Facebook Live. Yeah, your garden buddies are back here on Garden America. All righty, we are back from the break. Gonna sneeze there, Tiger? Oh, okay.
We were talking about low light prior to the
houseplants,
break,
caves,
right?
and plants that can do well, but a little bit of light's even better maybe sometimes.
Right, so it's time to tell Hastam about cuticles, right?
For his fingernails?
No. He mentions about plants losing leaves.
Right.
Like your Ficus benjamina behind you is full of leaves.
Got a few that have dropped.
And a few drop, but it's also silk. When you take a Ficus benjamina,
Look,
there you go.
the leaves have fallen. This fell from this beautiful ficus behind me to my left.
When you grow a ficus outdoors, and this is true of a lot of plants, in order for them not to become sunburned, they develop a waxy covering over the leaf, and that's called a cuticle. And that limits the amount of light that gets, a lot of direct sun that gets into the plant so the leaves don't burn. It would be like if you went to the beach and you put sunscreen on.
Yeah.
So you don't burn. But when you bring that plant indoors, it's got a thick cuticle on, and not enough light can get into the plant to keep it alive. So what the plant will do is drop its leaves, especially in the case of a Ficus benjamina. Yeah. It'll lose all its leaves with the thick cuticles, and it'll put out new leaves right after that with very thin cuticles to allow in more light.
Yeah.
Then if you take that plant outdoors, you're going to end up with burned leaves because now it
and then it'll
can't
drop again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not every plant is like that, but those are the kinds of things you need to think about.
And a lot of people will make the mistake of they'll do that. They'll bring that plant inside. It'll drop its leaves. And instantly they think, oh, I put it in the wrong spot.
Right.
And then they'll be like, oh, I'm going to move it again.
Right.
Well, then in moving the plant again, it stresses it again. And they don't realize that if they were just to have left it where it was and allowed those leaves to come back, they would be fine. But people freak out, and then they just keep moving the plant, and then it just doesn't work out for them.
And that's where the old wives' tale comes, that you can't move a Ficus benjamina. They hate to be moved or they lose their leaves.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not moving them that makes them lose their leaves.
It's when you shake them violently.
that and the light
them,
conditions, Brian.
And you
Let's make
question them.
Let's make sure we're caught up on the questions, John.
Okay, Lisa wanted to know if solar tubes, the solar tube tunnels, give enough of the correct light spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that just letting in natural light?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is. So because there's no filters on it. They're just reflective mirrors. I will say they distribute the light nicely. So solar tubes are good. Where with sometimes when you're dealing with a what are they called? A sunroof or moon? What do they call that in your house? It's sunlight? Skylight. Sometimes those can, like a window, actually magnify light, and you can get burning. And that's kind of a funny phenomenon because it doesn't always happen in the same spot, like where you'll have a plant and maybe one side of it gets burnt. And you're like, this is so weird. Why is this one side? And if you have to go at the right time of day and see the light hitting that plant, because at that certain time of day, the magnification through the window and everything else, that'll burn a plant, which is kind of a funny phenomenon. It's kind of hard to catch. A lot of people will see burning, be like, well, the rest of the plant's not burned. Why is this one side?
Because it's facing the direction of the sun.
Exactly. It all depends on how the light's coming through that window or through sometimes reflecting off of a mirror even.
Not to be confused with burning ants with a magnifying glass.
Not to be confused.
But same principle in a way.
Yeah.
Carla said she missed the name of the potting soil.
We didn't name a potting soil, but would you say Happy Frog? Would you say Happy Frog or Ocean Forest? I mean, I think those retain
or Contented Toad.
Too much.
That's a good potting soil.
Yeah.
Ocean Forest might be good. Does Fertilome make any houseplant soils?
They do. We don't have them. I don't know the name off the top of my head, though. Sorry. Yeah.
By the way, Fertilome is presenting our show today. Great sponsors of our show, Fertilome. Thank you for your generous support. Please go out and support Fertilome, and we'll get the houseplant info to you.
Fertilome's got some of the
in the next couple of weeks.
Best products that are out there, and they're only available at independent garden centers.
Exactly.
So don't look for them at.
Don't go to Home Depot or Lowe's or. someplace
Right.
like that.
Who will never advertise with us now that you said that, Brian.
But they should, because I can quickly change my mind.
Yeah, for the right.
Veronica says that she has a pothos that's been indoors for 40 years.
40.
Yeah.
See?
Wow.
Great house plant.
That-
Said if she
That's
doesn't
good care.
keep cutting it back, it overtakes her kitchen.
Oh, it does. Several years ago, we had one we put in the corner, and it grew almost all
I
the
like
way
that.
around.
I like that. I like when
Right?
people do that.
Like crown molding.
Yes.
It was all the way around the room.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. Yeah, I tried to do that in my kitchen. It didn't work.
Now, when I was in Hawaii doing one of these jungle tours, we were out in the back furthest part of the jungle, and I'm like, whoa, look at the size of those leaves. What is that? It's a pothos.
Yeah,
They grow big here.
Yeah.
And I mean, leaves as big as your head.
yeah. No, I mean out
yeah,
there,
like it looks like a variegated split leaf philodendron.
Yes.
it does.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
exactly.
know, great humidity, great temperatures. They'll thrive.
Let's see. Oh, I was
Bit
going to
more
mention, since Carla asked about, she says a planting mix or a potting
yeah.
mix. Make sure that when you transplant your house plants, you use a potting soil. Don't use a planting mix.
No.
Planting mixes are made to be used on outdoor plants in the ground, and they're not complete. They won't support indoor plants. So use a potting soil.
Yeah.
Hey, Vince has a question, John, about the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Why plants and trees are easier to grow in the Philippines compared to the U.S.? It depends on what you're talking about, but
Yeah,
I would say climate, right?
Well, exactly. That's what it comes down to. Is
Yeah.
so when you're dealing with areas tropical, Philippines, Hawaii,
A lot of humidity.
Asia, South America, Central America, there's things that just naturally happen there that make it easier to grow plants. They get water, they don't get too hot, they don't get too cold, and so plants thrive in that environment. Now, I will say though, they can't grow a cherry tree in the Philippines.
Doesn't get cold enough.
They can't grow some varieties of pine and different things like that. And at the
Probably
same,
not some cactus or succulents.
and then and the other side, they can't grow a lot of the cactus and succulents there because they get too much water.
Sure.
And it doesn't. So it's all relevant. But I will say that what is it called, the middle of the earth,
The equator.
the equator, along the
What
the
have we learned today?
equator.
Skylights
Yes,
and equator.
exactly.
I was thinking core when he's talking about the middle of the earth.
Not mantle, core.
No.
But
The
along the equator is the most, neutral areas. It doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. They usually have good amounts of rain, and it just makes it easy to grow plants there
Right.
because of those reasons.
12 hours of night, 12 hours of day.
Exactly.
Never changes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the reason why people would say it's easier to grow stuff there. But like I said, they also don't get some of the things that other places do because of that reason. Yeah. That's why I think the Mediterranean aspect of it, like where we are, is a bit of the most versatile because we can grow some of those cold things and some of those hot things, but we also get a fair amount of wet, rain, and our temperatures are not so extreme. So we I think we live in an area where you can grow probably one of the largest ranges of plants.
Those tropical areas also grow a lot of insects
Yeah, true.
because it's,
Yeah.
lots of plants and lots of conditions that insects thrive in.
In Florida, the insects get so big, there's actually crossings.
Yeah.
They'll say, spider crossing, beware, or, cockroach crossing.
They press a button to cross and then lights start blinking.
I don't like insects where you can see their facial expressions. That's where I check out.
You're done.
You know what?
Yeah.
And if they fly, if it's something that flies, get me out of there.
Yeah.
I can run away, but when they fly, they're going to catch you.
The only insect I can't handle is a grasshopper, just because of the way it feels when it touches you. So moths and all those other things, like I'm like, oh, whatever, like flying cockroach on the ground, whatever. But a grasshopper like grips you, and it's kind of like a little bit like a hornworm. You feel it like grip.
It's
you.
holding on.
Yeah, it's holding on.
You shouldn't be touching grasshoppers, though. That's what pruning shears are for. You just sneak up and cut
You
them
know,
right
when,
in
when I
half.
was a kid, I'll never forget this. It shows what you can have traumatic events when you're young. And I was at somebody's office with my parents or whatever, and this bug was crawling across the floor that looked so alien and like nothing I'd ever seen before, and it scared the heck out of me. Years later, I learned it was a potato bug.
Potato bug, potato bug, potato bug.
Oh no, that's
But what's the other name?
I think you're talking about a Jerusalem cricket.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
exactly
They
right.
They look like I think it's something about a baby something.
Can you look that up and maybe
Yeah.
post a picture of that if you can?
Yeah.
On our feed, because when you're 5, 6 years old and you
They
see
look
one of
like
those,
humans that have been changed into
right, like
an
a bad
insect.
bee movie.
Yeah.
We got to take a break to stay on time for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Tiger's going to look for that picture and that bug picture, potato bug, Jerusalem cricket, as John mentioned, right, John?
Yeah.
And we're back
I
after
think
these
that's
messages.
what you're talking about.
It is on Biz Talk Radio. Okay, that was quite a break. We are back. Those on Biz Talk Radio, we welcome you. Thank you for tuning in each and every week or whenever you can. We appreciate that, whether it's 5 minutes or the entire show. And, of course, our good friends on Facebook Live, thank you for being right there. Tiger, you found that picture. We're going to try to post it on our Facebook feed so you can see this Jerusalem cricket or, in some cases, potato bug. Not sure where I got that from, but
I
we'll
think I've
see.
heard, I've heard
Yeah,
people
people
say
call it
that
that.
before.
Potato bug?
Yeah. The earlier, Rick had commented about, and Tiger's going to be talking about the plants that he brought in, but commented no African violets. And that was probably a staple back in the 40s and 50s,
Right.
and 60s. And you don't see African violets as much anymore. But a lot of people still collect them. And there's a company in New York that you can order African violets from year-round. They'll even, I've ordered in the middle of winter, and they ship them out with those heat packs like they use
Really?
for fish. You know, if you're ordering a aquarium fish through the mail. Have you ever done that?
Yes, once
Yeah.
or twice, yeah.
Yeah, and they put a little heat pack in there so that they don't freeze.
You know, it's funny, and Rick, I was going to bring in, we have some African violets in the nursery. They didn't look that great, though.
Not
so I
this
was like,
time of the year, right?
yeah, so I was like, I didn't want to bring it in. Because,
Well, they don't like the cold weather.
yeah, definitely not. And it doesn't take a lot of cold for them to
And
react.
Tiger didn't want people to see it on camera and go, so that's what you sell at your nursery?
Well, that's one of the, you were talking about parts of Africa and you were talking about equatorial Africa because an African violet is not drought tolerant.
No.
And it's from the equator, from the rainforests in Africa, not from the dry areas, not from the plains.
All right. We've got a few questions.
Yeah,
Do we
let's
wanna
make
hit
sure
'em?
we go back up
All right.
and then start from
I don't know.
there. Let me see.
I agree. I hate grasshoppers. Hold on one second. Here we go.
All right. Well, Millie in Napoma wants to know if a chef Lara will develop yellow leaves at the bottom if it's overwatered. She says it's doing fine, and she wants to know if she should wait till the soil's completely dry to water. Yeah, if the soil's moist, Millie, don't water it. They don't want to be totally dry like a succulent, but they do like it a little bit on the dry side. So as long as it feels damp, don't water. But also remember that Scheffleras are tropical trees, and trees develop trunks, and so eventually, as the plant matures, some of the bottom leaves will turn yellow and drop off anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's the natural.
Right.
They release them from the top. They drop them at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I most of the time I tell people if they're dropping from the bottom, you don't worry.
Right.
It's the top ones if they start
Because the
dropping
bottom
and
would be the
yellowing.
newer growth or
The older
growth.
So it falls
right.
off as it.
However, she is right. Overwatering will cause some leaves to
It
yellow,
will.
but usually it's not just the bottom.
Right.
The whole thing doesn't look good.
Yeah. And then Lenore asks, one of these huge insects eats the flowers of my citrus trees every year, preventing them to flower. And I can't see them all the time. Impossible. Then I don't get fruits. What can I do? So one of these huge insects.
We don't know what the insect is to treat it, right?
Yeah.
I
But
don't
I'm trying
know
to
if
think of
any
what
insects
eats
eat
flowers.
flowers.
What insect would eat a flower?
I don't know.
A
I
deer
think
would, but a deer's not an insect.
A rat?
Yeah. No, I don't even think
Oh,
rats would
rats eat leaves.
Yeah. No, they eat the fruit.
Do they eat in
Do,
fruit?
do beetles, fruit beetles, eat flowers?
I don't know. I thought that was again with the fruit. Eats the flowers, and then you don't get
Oh, yeah.
fruit.
Kevin wants. I'm sorry, I don't want to get too far ahead here.
Yes.
But Kevin is-
Honestly, Lenore, I don't know if I have an answer for you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know of an insect that specifically eats the flowers, and then you wouldn't get fruiting afterwards. So, I don't know.
Kevin wants to know if there's a tool to stick in the soil to test the moisture
A moisture
level.
meter, right?
For indoor plants, you
yes.
can't use a moisture meter outdoors.
Outdoors, yeah.
You need a tensiometer. But, I think that your finger is the best moisture meter.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you grow plants long enough, you can just look at them. I don't have house plants anymore. My wife likes house plants though, so she has a bunch that she's growing, and I'll be sitting on the couch and I'll say, "Hey, have you watered that spathiphyllum
And
over
she'll
there?"
say, "Why?" And you'll say, "It's not looking too good."
It looks dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell just by looking at the
I'm
leaf.
the same
right?
way. I look at the plant. If you
Yeah.
look good, I'm going to leave you alone.
Yeah.
If you're peaked, we're going to talk about it.
We're gonna have a discussion.
That's right.
Linda asked if we discussed the
rain.
in San Diego, and we didn't.
We did it, but it was a lot of rain in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were saying it was the fourth rainiest day
Ever.
since they've, well, I don't know about ever, but
Well,
since they've recorded
which is the
rainfall
mid-1800s.
in San Diego,
most
yeah. So did you have any flooding around you, or any areas that
So-
you saw?
How did you guys weather the storm?
So here's the thing: my two locations, as far as at the nursery, we're on a canyon, so everything just goes into the canyon. As long as that canyon doesn't fill up, we're good to go.
It's a big canyon.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. And then my house is on a canyon, so again, it just goes right down the back of the yard and goes out the back into the canyon. So I've lucked out because there was a lot of areas in San Diego that did not favor well because they're low lying or they didn't have.
I sent both of you the picture of my pot. What plant
It was a
that?
plumeria, wasn't it?
Plumeria.
Was
Yeah.
filled with the water in the pot. Yeah.
I had to dump them both over. And the one picture that I sent John and you yesterday, I look and the leaves now are just yellow falling
Oh,
off.
yeah.
They just,
Yeah.
it's like they look good for a long time, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm done. All the leaves drop.
The tip I gave you, though, is a good one for
I
our
did it.
listeners. If
And I
it's
did it.
going to rain like that, and a lot
turn
of
the
rain
pot
is
over
coming,
on its side.
just turn the pot on its side.
Yeah, that was good advice.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about it filling up with water.
Exactly.
I do
Hey.
what he tells me to do.
You do.
He just
and
doesn't
you're
know
very
it.
successful. So I'm glad he's here.
Both of you.
Carlos is talking about the cicadas. Have you heard about this?
That there's a massive
That there-
population going to be happening.
Yeah, that there's a double hatch
Yeah.
cycle. 2 different varieties of cicadas. I think that one is a 7-year locust and one is different years,
Yeah.
like a
Are we
17
talking-
But normally they're
Biblical
operating on
proportions?
different years.
Right, but this year they're going to hatch at the same
Same
time.
time.
Biblical, right?
It is.
Even more so, probably.
Yeah.
So anyway,
In those swarms.
And they blot out the sun.
Well,
it's like the
I mean,
apocalypse.
they do. It's yeah.
Hey,
that's-
John, what was that? What were those pigeons that went extinct? That used to.
passenger pigeons.
They're going to try to bring them back.
I know.
Jurassic Park style?
No, they're
Well,
yeah.
there's a lot of animals they're going to try to bring back, and they're on the list.
Right. The Martha was the last one that died.
Yes,
At
exactly.
the Cincinnati Zoo.
Right. Yep.
Around 1918, 1920, something like that.
Talking about blotting out the sky. We have to take a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. News is coming up. We come back at 6 minutes after. Hopefully you can catch our second hour. Those of you on Facebook Live, a much quicker break. No news coming up, but just more of us, more houseplants, more of your questions, more answers. Do stay with us. I'm Brian Main, John Begnasker, Tiger Palafox. This is Garden America, and we're only halfway through. Stay with us. Hey, welcome back to the show. This is hour number 2 if you're tuned in on Biz Talk Radio. We do appreciate that. Again, a reminder, if you want to hear one of our previous shows, or actually this show later on this afternoon, it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. Also, Alexa will have us on later today. Just ask for the Garden America podcast, the latest version, and she'll do that for you as well. But do go to gardenamerica.com. If you could do that at least once a day, we'd appreciate that.
Hey, just an aside, we had a little problem last week, and I guess some people tried to sign up for our trip to Costa Rica and were told that we had sold out. We do have a few seats open, right?
Yes.
So if you want to go, just go to, is it on our website?
Go to our website. Yeah. The homepage has the itinerary for the Costa Rica trip.
Right.
So we're not sold out yet.
No.
Nope. Yeah. So if you do get that message that you are sold out, reach out to us. We'll
call,
help you
call
out.
Colette. Reach out. Tell them
reach out to us. We can help you out.
Garden America sent you, or one of us. We can help you as well.
Sure. Are you going in a day early?
I'm going when you guys are going.
Okay.
That's the Sunday. It's Sunday the 20th, right?
I am not going in a day early.
I asked Shannon, do you want to go in a day early just to get us situated, right? And she said, no, I don't have that many vacation days. I can, let's just go when we're supposed to. Then she's looking, you can stay a day later at a beach.
Oh, now she
at a beach bungalow.
That
at the
things,
spa thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It was something about beach bungalow that phrase said, we're staying one extra day.
So if I understand correctly, we leave on a Sunday, which is the 20th.
I don't know.
Yes,
the days.
and then the 21st is when it officially starts on a Monday.
Correct.
Right.
So Sunday, you would get there and just relax, check in, get the lay of the land,
Right.
and then it officially starts that Monday.
Correct.
So we're all going in the same flight, right?
Right.
Out of San Diego.
I think so.
I don't want to be without you guys.
Yeah? You scared?
Let me tell you, I might nuzzle up to you, snuggle up a little bit.
One of those little, like what they put on the kids when they're traveling alone.
Yes, I just feel better. Whatever's going to happen, I hope that it happens together, no matter what it is, good, bad, or indifferent.
By the way, Daniel posted a link right on Facebook.
Look at that. Check it out. Costa Rica, baby.
You check out the itinerary. Hey, Kathy in Eureka.
You know what? Let's give a belated happy birthday to Kathy.
Oh,
Kathy,
happy
I
birthday,
believe it
Kathy.
was, 2 days ago? Happy birthday, Kathy. I wished her a happy birthday.
Did you?
Yes, I did. On behalf of myself and Dana.
You follow her.
All over the place.
Yeah, she got that restraining order a couple years ago, but it's worn out now.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Kathy. Long-time listener and viewer.
Kathy and Hank should come with us to Costa
Go
Rica.
to Costa Rica, Kathy. Come on.
Yeah.
Crocodiles, orchids, coffee plantations, volcanoes, beaches, surf, sun.
Well, some of their neighbors, Bob and Sue Crane. Oops,
They're going.
Shouldn't mention people's last name, but Bob and Sue are.
Sea Crane Radios. Come on. Do you think that ship sailed years ago?
Yeah. So anyway, we miss you, Kathy, and hope to see you sometime soon. We used to see each other at plant shows, but there aren't any anymore.
COVID happened, and then
Right.
they just
So
haven't came
Kevin,
back.
my good buddy Kevin from high school and junior high, who's going to Costa Rica with us,
Yeah.
he hasn't heard anything back from Colette in quite a while. I did get a flight schedule, but haven't gotten any new updates. You probably won't for a while.
Right.
Any updates, right?
Yeah, and that's a great question because specifically for Kevin, we did have a question if you were leaving out of San
Oh,
Diego.
yeah. Kevin, where are you leaving from?
Because our records show you're leaving out of San Diego.
yeah, Colette thinks you're leaving out of San Diego. Kevin, is that correct?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of fun stuff. And if you have a question regarding the Costa Rica trip, you can reach out to us via our Facebook, and or you can reach out to us via the website, and we can help you out
Right.
with any kind of information. I have all the records of everyone that's going and what they have as far as flights.
You're sort of the travel agent for
I
Garden America.
I am. I'm gonna wear many hats.
You're a good guy.
So,
don't care what they
let
say.
me know, because I know sometimes reaching out to Colette could be a little bit challenging, especially getting a response or a specific question or problem.
Sure.
But I can help you out.
And the whole trip is going to be looking at houseplants.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I
right.
was going to bring in a coffee. There was we have some coffee plants
Do
in
you?
the greenhouse right now at the nursery. And I think I brought them in before, but that's a houseplant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grow some coffee.
Our first day in Costa Rica is going to a coffee
Checking out
plantation,
coffee.
right?
Now, somebody, maybe it was Lenore a while back, she asked what the name of the plant was in the white pot. Did we answer that question?
In the white pot?
There's a white pot
Ooh.
right in front.
Yeah, let me go over.
Let's take a look at some of these.
Let me go over those. So that
By
plant,
the way, just don't mean to interrupt you, but Kevin said that he is coming in to San Diego the day before. So
okay.
he will be flying with us.
Kevin, we got to get some pictures together in Costa Rica for our high school friends to see what we're up to these days together.
So
Okay.
yeah, what did you
White
bring,
pot.
Tiger?
White pot plant is a ficus. It's a ficus decora. Is that the?
I can't see it.
It's the normally they're black.
Oh yeah, Ficus elastica.
Elastica.
Right,
The
and-
decora is the black one.
Well, Decora is one of the varieties.
Yeah. This one has a variegated kind of a different variegation leaf on it versus that one, but it's the same Ficus elastica. So kind of fun. Oop, I'm knocking off leaves already. Kind of a fun, different one.
Does that one have a name?
I don't have it on here.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Yeah, not for me to see. Sansevieria, we were talking about that, right? This is a unique Sansevieria, or I mean, it used to be more unique than they are today. But cylindrica, because it has these
The leaves are round.
fleshy,
Yeah.
round foliage. Where normally the common name for people that know Sansevieria is mother-in-law's tongue.
Yes.
Because they're these wicked looking, straight, strappy leaves that go vertical.
Also snake plant.
Snake plant. But this one,
Bowstring hemp.
all the common names.
Yeah.
But
Do you know why it's called bowstring hemp, by the way?
because they used to make bowstrings out of it.
They used to make rope out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They used to make rope out of it, and they used it to replace cannabis. When cannabis was outlawed, they used
That was
that.
their go-to
that was
plant.
the substitute, right?
Really?
Yeah, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Florida was setting up Sansevieria plantations for farmers to grow it as a crop.
Yeah. And I mean, do you know, because they're just these long, strappy leaves. So did they just like cotton?
They're-
what was
they're
the
fi-
cotton gin? It would they just break it all down into fiber?
Yeah.
And then that's what they would create rope out
Right.
of? Yeah. Oh, interesting. I don't know if you can do that with the cylindrica.
Show them my favorite.
The bromeliad. This one here.
No, right next
Oh,
to it.
the money tree.
Yeah, love that. Love that money tree.
So Pakira, money tree. This is kind of a different one. So this would be what they call a stump one. With Dracaenas, you get stump. Different ways that they grow them, And a lot of times, these kinds of plants, you can just take cuttings, pop them in soil, and then they'll just start growing again, right? And so this is a money tree. A lot of times you'll see this more woven and
braided, right?
Braided, yes, is the correct term. And it's a, I think Chinese, kind of one of those Chinese, not folklore, just
sort of a traditional plant
thing
for good luck.
that is brings you luck with money, and it's a really fun kind of plant to have. Now, I've never really seen them stumped like that very often. I like the look of that a little bit better than the braided.
I think
ones,
it works.
but
I found
really
$20 in my pocket when I came into the studio today, so there might be something to that.
Yeah. So these are my new favorites, though. This is a bromeliad.
Is that a Vreesia?
Yeah, Vreesia. And I really just like these because of without a flower, without the look, just the foliage. It looks fake. It looks like somebody printed this foliage.
And it looks like silk, too.
On this plant.
But it's real, obviously.
And the one thing, we talked about plants, house plants that you can't mess up. And, bromeliads are kind of that. Like, you can buy a bromeliad with a flower, and you can leave it in the house, and you can kind of not water it real well. You can leave it in your bathroom, and they'll just stay looking good for months and months. And then the flower will die off, and then you're like, oh, okay, you get a new one. But this one, you don't have to get a new one because the foliage is all you're getting out of it. What would you call this, Brian? Like a red, brown, black, white, green.
Kind of a rust maroon, green.
Yeah.
Shades of maybe a little magenta in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's break time. Got to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about more house plants. So do stay with us here. Garden America, Facebook Live, Biz Talk Radio. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. All righty, we are back. Hope you had a good break. Those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, talking houseplants today. I think we're caught up on most of the questions and comments on Facebook.
Don and Sue from Allied Gardens said that they're going to leave a day early going to Costa Rica.
Fun.
So they can...
They want to see San Jose.
They want to see San Jose.
Check it out.
Not San Jose, California, but San Jose, Costa Rica.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Big difference. Yeah, little different.
What's the variegated philodendron? Is that an alocasia or a philodendron?
No, it's a philodendron. And no, it is an alocasia. I thought it was a philodendron.
I love philodendrons.
Alocasia odora variegata. So that is this one here. Let's see here. So the alocasia. There's a lot of names for this one too, right, John? What are some of the common names for alocasia? Mask.
Well, there's certain varieties, like the one that's kind of black and purple. It's called African mask.
Right.
And taro.
Taro. That's,
yeah.
It's a food, right? Like people...
Well, there's alocasias and colocasias. And neither one, I don't think either one does great in our climate because they like humidity.
Right.
But if you're down south or as a houseplant, they're okay too.
Yeah.
But the leaves are unbelievable on some of them.
And, people, that taro, Taro, is a food. A lot of the places you'll see taro on a menu.
Poi out of.
Poi, exactly.
Yeah.
And they grow them in these boggy, wet fields. And that's in alocasia. So it's kind of a neat, so the plant, like you say, John, like they have a lot of varieties. Some get really large leaves. Some get smaller leaves. Some grow in drier situations. Some grow
talk about
wet.
Larger leaves. How about 8 feet?
A leaf?
An 8-foot leaf,
yeah.
And maybe 4 feet wide.
So I feel like that's the plant that you'll see.
Movie.
Sometimes you'll see somebody carrying one as an umbrella, that leaf.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You've seen pictures of people like in tropics. They'll sometimes do that. I mean, I think there's a lot of plants that can do that when you live in those tropical
There's a
environments.
variety that I really like, and if I ever get my house completely landscaped, so I have time to fool with those kinds of things. There's one called Stingray. Have you seen that one?
You told me about that.
Yeah,
one.
I really
have-
like that
yeah,
one.
Yeah,
The leaf looks like a stingray.
yeah,
It's got the barb at the end.
yeah.
Carla says there's a beautiful, talking about the bromeliad, she
Mm-hmm.
said there's a great bromeliad collection at the University of Hawaii in Hilo.
Ooh,
So I think we're going to go around the whole island.
yeah,
That's all the way on the other side of where we're staying.
right.
It's on the rainy side.
I was going to say the more wet side.
Yeah.
You got to do the drive. When we were in Kauai, we did the drive all the way around the island.
Yeah, Kauai is a lot. Do you know that you can fit all the Hawaiian islands into the big island? That's how big it is
That
compared
big
to
island's
the
got to
others.
be bigger than most people think unless you've been there.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is pretty big.
And if you love volcanoes, that's the island to be on as well.
The last time I was
Oh, look, honey, there's lava coming through our living room.
Yeah.
we were on a tour, actually on our honeymoon, and we were on a bus going to the volcanoes, and it had to turn around because lava was flowing over the road. That was 50,
Everyday occurrence,
50
right?
years
Yeah.
ago.
Turn around.
That's crazy dealing with lava.
Rick wants to know why you didn't bring any orchids in.
There was a few orchids at the nursery, but they were just common Phalaenopsis and some of the common. So it wasn't these. I felt were more unique.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't anything against Rick. You just decided not to.
Yeah, no, Rick. I'm sorry. Nothing against you. Just But
I remember.
Well, wait a minute. There's an orchid behind you. If
Yeah.
Rick wants to see an orchid,
Well, actually, Veronica wanted to know what that was.
looks great on camera, doesn't it?
Yeah, Phalaenopsis plasticus.
it still
Yes.
has buds. It still has buds on.
Yeah. And talk about the plant that does well in here. It just needs a host, which in this case is a stool.
Yeah. Boom. But yeah, then what do we have over there? You mentioned Tradescantia earlier, right? That's Dracaena.
You know,
nice
I
little
don't-
variegation on that one.
It's got the white variegation too. The regular Warnicki, Dracaena Warnicki, is kind of thin stripes and
Yep.
nowhere near as outstanding as this one. This one's really distinctive with the stripes, and there's a lot of varieties of Dracaenas now, right?
So
with
many.
stripe, there's one with lime
Yep.
stripes.
Yeah, I think what do they call it? Something lime something. But and then big leaves, small leaves, Dracaena, like you say, like some are real narrow and
Right.
strappy, some are larger. And then that's the plant that I talked about that they'll sometimes call it stump, where they'll take a 4-foot tall stick, put it in the ground, and then out of the side of the top will
Right.
start a new plant. And they're really, really neat. I remember there was a gentleman from ABC Nursery here in California, and they used to have a relationship with a nursery in Hawaii, and they just used to ship over cargo containers full of sticks of Dracaena and sticks of Plumeria, and then they planted them up here and would grow them out.
Was that Rancho Verde Nursery? There was
I don't
Rancho
know. Was
Verde
there?
and Rancho Soledad. Both of them, I think, brought stuff.
Yeah, I know
From
Rancho
Hawaii.
Soledad brought a lot of stuff from all over the world, but yeah.
Veronica wants to know what's in the hanging pot.
That is a Tradescantia, and that one's a fun one called Pistachio White.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Again, Tradescantia is a very common plant, but they're coming out with, you mentioned the houseplant craze. When we have our houseplant craze,
Right.
they came out with all kinds of really neat varieties to keep, piquing people's interest. And
That one I really like. There's one that looks just like it, except for the white. You substitute hot pink.
hot pink, yeah,
Yeah.
that one's really cool too. So yeah, the Tradescantia is a good hanging plant, cascading.
Pretty easy to take care of.
Yeah.
Can you leave
I
that
do
in that
think-
pot for any amount of time? Is that a
Oh
good
yeah,
size
it can
pot?
stay in this pot for a
Okay.
long period of time. I do think the light situation with Tradescantia, though, they are definitely more of a room with a skylight, windows, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, they'll grow in low light, but then they look leggy.
Yeah,
They
right.
stretch out. They don't. You need to, even with more light, you need to pinch it back occasionally, I think, to keep it full.
And what was the thing too? We talked about with light with variegation, the more variegation on a plant, the less light they need, or do you, I feel
Usually,
like
to keep the variegation, you need more light.
that's what it was.
And the reason is
to
that
keep the variegation.
right, the variegated parts, depending on what color they are, can't photosynthesize. So the plant needs more light in order to make up for that.
That's what it is. Yeah, you'll see that if you put it in too low of light,
Right.
it'll start just reverting back to green.
Right. Or the leaves just fall off.
Yeah, yeah.
The
We got to take a break. Yeah, we should take a break. Sorry, John. I want to just happen to look down at the clock.
all right. I may never say what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
It could be a good
no,
thing.
tell me
Brian.
now. What is it? I'll remember for you.
I don't remember. I already forgot.
2 seconds go by.
Yep.
We got to pay some bills. Our sponsors, Biz Talk Radio. And again, those on Facebook Live, keep those questions, comments coming. We're talking houseplants today. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox here on Garden America. Back from the break. John still hasn't remembered his train of thought.
That's because I was looking at Lisa's question, and she says she has a tillandsia that's bloomed, and will it die now? I'm really glad she asked that, because I was thinking earlier of explaining this. Is bromeliads, after they bloom, they don't die. It's that main area of the plant that bloomed turns brown, but the pups come off the side and they continue to grow. So the plant is still growing. It's just that part that bloomed ends up turning brown and disappearing.
Yeah.
And then the pups on the side take over. So with a tillandsia, it depends what size it is, but a lot of them have multiple pups that come around them.
Yeah, and for that, it's kind of like you don't leave it inside or leave it in an area because they don't look good.
Right.
But if you have a back patio or somewhere
Or
where
even a
you
tree, small
yeah,
trees, right?
you can just put it and leave it. You'll go out there one day, and all of a sudden, like you say, you'll have 3 or 4 plants coming off of it with very little care, with very little effort too. They'll just naturally do it.
And tillandsias do well a lot of tillandsias do well in Southern California, because a lot of them are native to Mexico, Baja area. So those are kind of cool. And then Spanish moss is a bromeliad.
Yep.
But that's one that requires more humidity, so we don't usually see Spanish moss growing in trees, but you can grow it.
If you were to have a mister in your tree,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Right.
Yeah. You can make it look like the South.
Rick wants to know the origins of begonias.
The origins?
Where do they originate?
Ooh.
I don't know if they're in different parts of the world, but a lot of them come from South America, from Brazil and areas like that. I would imagine there's probably some that come from the Pacific, Asia,
Yeah.
in some of those areas.
And they do really well for us here.
Yeah,
too.
they do.
Begonias are one of those plants that we can grow
Very
nicely.
common.
Yeah, very common. But you get the Rex begonias, you get all kinds of varieties of Richmond densis, and aside from the standard little, because that's the thing, people think begonia, and some people are thinking we're talking about the color
Tuberous.
packs, color packs that you
wax
buy,
begonias.
from the nursery, and they're like, oh yeah, whatever. But there's a lot of varieties of begonia, and they all look different and grow different. And sometimes you buy them for the foliage, sometimes you buy them for the flower. Which brings me to one of the comments I wanted to mention regarding variegation. And, John mentioned it, so one of the issues with this thrust of new plants is they went out to create varieties, and what better way to create, a show-stopping thing, but put a variegation in the foliage. But a problem that I see now with all these new varieties that were introduced, they didn't really test them or truly breed them correctly. And what they'll do is we call revert. So you'll grow it, it'll be fine for a while, and then that variegation just goes away. Because variegation is a mutation, right, John?
Yeah, some people, it depends. Some can be a mutation, some can be a virus.
Yeah. And so, like John mentioned, if you put that plant in a low light situation, the plant knows it needs more sunlight. So it automatically pushes out that variegation to create a full green leaf. But some are just what we call weak. And if the variegation in the plant is weak, for no apparent reason,
It goes back to the way
it goes back to the way it was.
was.
So people plant these plants thinking, oh, I'm going to have this lovely, colorful plant. And then a year later, that plant's all green again. Or it's just one half of the plant is green and then one half of the plant is variegated. And that was a big problem because phormiums are a grass-like plant that, became real popular in Southern California. And they released all these new varieties that had pink stripe, green stripe, white stripe. Well, after a year, all of them went back to the standard green. And it's because they didn't do the proper breeding to make that a strong part of the plant.
What I'm trying to put together in my mind here is that the original, you want to call it DNA, or the original plan for that personal plant was never taken away completely.
Right.
It reverts back because it's still living. It's still there, right?
It's still there. It's still in the plant. Exactly. So don't be, I would say, people get frustrated or discouraged. Just, it can happen. It can happen. So
What about if you get a pink princess philodendron and you paid $1,000
and it
for
reverts? Then you're in trouble.
That was something that did not exist in the hippie days when we had our first houseplant craze. Was we didn't have these huge prices for plants.
No.
With the new houseplant craze, though, with the era of computers and people able to see these things and bid from all over the world, you had plants that we used to sell for $1.99 in the 60s and 70s that now were $1,000, $2,000 a piece.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So basically, getting back to the original blueprint never changed. It was there. Would you say that it was dormant, but it's there and then reverts
Right.
back when?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably a way more technical way to put it, but that's a great way to explain it, that it's all
Trying
there.
to find the right words.
And when breeders do a good job of that, they really bring it down to the most minimal number. But in order to do that, they have to invest a lot of time, and they have to. So
It's like reprogramming the plant.
well, it's kind of like breeding in general, right? Like,
Yeah.
Meaning, oh, this plant has a variegation, so now I'm going to breed another plant with that variegation. Or I'm going to breed multiple plants with that variegation. You have to throw away all those bad ones, and you just keep taking from the best. You keep taking from the best. You have to keep redoing it. You keep redoing it. You keep redoing it until finally you get to the point
You
where
filtered out all the old.
you filtered out as much possible. Well, what happened with this craze and with this energy and this effort for everybody wanting to strive to have something new, rather than keep going, they just went to the first level and they're like, here it is. And then now they're all going back. And so it's kind of, a bummer.
Sounds like marketing to me.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned marketing.
Yeah. So, that, and then, the other thing too is issues with like root rot or the way they tolerate soils is another big issue you have to watch out for. That's why with those real high-priced exclusive plants, you do need to be careful with what you're planting them in, and more care and more energy, because some of them are more susceptible to certain root rot issues, fungal disease issues, that you want to make sure that you avoid by keeping them, properly, wet but not over wet. You want to make sure that maybe they're not sitting in any water, so you
Right.
don't have any diseases coming up or anything like that.
Do you have any houseplants in your home?
Oh yeah,
Do you really?
I love them. I love houseplants. I've got
Right.
2 bromeliads. I've got a ZZ plant. I've got 2 sansevieras. I've got a dracaena. I've got some kind of parlor palm. I've got a tradescantia. Yeah.
Wow.
I only take
Wow,
care
I
of
had
them.
no
though.
idea.
Yeah. Janine doesn't. Oh, I
You
got
know
a spathiphyllum.
We would have, and I've tried in the past to have houseplants, but we have cats who like to eat them.
Yeah, that's tough.
So you go to the fake plant just to give a good aesthetic look in the house. They still eat them. I'm like, it's not real. Stop chewing on the plastic, on the silk. It's not real.
That's so funny.
It's like, what are you going to do?
They don't bother the dracaena. They don't bother big plants.
No, I can't really get up to them. If it's low or on a table or someplace. I've got one in the bedroom on a stool, like you'd sit down to play the guitar, that kind of a stool. And it's fake. It's a green, variegated. I'm like, what? Why is it all bent and chewed?
Don't you give them kitty grass?
Yes. Oh, our older cat now, we trust him. We let him outside because he's not going to go anywhere. And eating grass all the time. Loves the grass.
Do you have one of those tall cat scratcher home things?
Yes.
That'd be fun to make it look like a Swiss Family Robinson. Put it.
That's a good idea.
Like in a tree.
That's it. This thing is big. And
Well, that's what I'm
thick
saying. They're
and-
usually big, and they have
Yeah.
little places for them to lay in and things like that, right?
I saw someone that had built a chicken wire tunnel
Yeah.
on top of their fence so the cats
Can
could
go across.
get out and walk on the fence but not get away.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I've been to a few of those homes,
Uh-huh.
but they have those minx cats, those cats that look like a small jaguar, or those.
Oh, yeah.
Those cats that are really expensive.
Yeah.
But they have this whole thing where they can go outside and then come inside, but it's all controlled. Because I guess if that thing gets loose.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to lose that cat. Okay, we're going to take a break. We have one more segment coming up. Been a good show, good houseplant show. Good topic, good subject, a lot of interest, so do stay with us. Those on Biz Talk Radio taking a break, Facebook Live coming back even quicker. It is Garden America. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Back after these messages. Keep tuned in on Facebook Live and, of course, Biz Talk Radio. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have made it to the final segment. Whatever's on your mind on Facebook Live, get to it. Let us know what's happening.
I wonder, I know our listeners are kind of wrapping up right now, and I know a few people have answered, but the oldest house plant that they have. Who was it that had the pothos that had been in the house for
Veronica?
something like
For 40 years?
14? No.
Was that
It was
Veronica?
like 14 years or something.
No,
15
40.
years.
It was
No.
40 years.
40 years, yeah.
40 years.
40?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Was that if it wasn't Veronica, I apologize.
Yeah.
One of our great Facebook.
I think it was Veronica.
But I mean, it's kind of normal to have. I mean, if you lived in the home and you can say, "Oh, I planted that tree when I was, 5 years old, and now, I've taken this home over from my parents," and that's
Right.
That's kind of a normal thing, right?
Right.
Or even a potted plant outside where it's like, "Oh, I brought this from when I was in college, and now here, and now there, and I moved it along with me." But a house plant?
My oldest
Yeah.
rose, which will be 20 years old this year, Green Planet.
That's your oldest. Is that your oldest plant? Probably, or no? You had some before Green Planet.
No,
still
you know
have.
what? I think it might be because
Because you've killed everything since then.
they committed suicide.
Oh.
I didn't kill them. Yeah, because I
So
was
that might be
living-
your oldest plant that you have on your patio right
Yes,
now.
because I was living with a roommate in Santee at the time, and I didn't have an area, a couple
Yeah.
of plants here and there. And it was the auction in 2004 where my son bid on it.
Yeah.
$80, I think, was the winning bid. And it looks great. It looks fantastic. It looks really healthy. John took cuttings. He was successful.
Do you know your oldest rose? Like this, you've had this rose the longest.
Well, for a while it was Kennedy, right?
Kennedy.
Rose Kennedy. She lived
Rose
to be
Kennedy.
102.
Oh, I didn't get that.
I thought you would.
Yeah, I was on a completely different wavelength.
Yeah, anyway, you're the oldest rose, John.
I'd have to think about that. They got 1,500, so
Yeah,
I got to
it's
think
tough.
which
I
ones.
know. There's
Might-
one that's like, this is my original rose.
The oldest one might actually be orange juice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, it has to be something I brought from the old house and dug up.
Yeah.
So it may be orange juice. I'm having trouble with gophers eating roses now. I had a huge bush that gophers got to.
Dang it.
So far, Gopher Hawk has caught 6 gophers this last week.
Wow.
Is he just
In
like
one
a
week?
resident local hawk? In
Yeah,
the
they have a
neighborhood?
little bare
it's a
area
device.
where I lay them out, and the hawks or the coyotes get them, eat them.
Yeah.
So
My oldest plant is for where I'm at now is a lime tree. I had a lime tree at our old house. I brought it with me, and it was on the verge of that. Matter of fact, I almost killed it because I watered it with salt water or something one time. Like I accidentally did
That
something.
was back in your experimental days.
Yeah.
I wonder what salt water will do to my lime.
and it was on the verge of death. And no, now it's thriving. So it's good.
Marguerite mentions that this time of year, she has a pellet stove to keep her warm. And because of that, her plants don't do well unless she mists them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention to our listeners that if you do mist your house plants, don't use tap water, because you'll be adding salts to the soil every time or to the leaf every time you mist it, and you'll end up with burned leaves eventually. So try to use bottled water or reverse osmosis water, or something with no salt in it.
Capture some rainwater. Just keep a bucket of rainwater outside there for you, and dip
And
your
you
sprayer
can
in
use, if you're using a pebble tray and setting the plant on the pebble tray, it's okay to use water from the tap.
Yep. No, that's a good point. But yeah, the tap water is tough on houseplants. Watering them in the soil and watering them on the foliage, it's a double whammy for sure, with building up of salts and chemicals that they really don't like. And it'd be nice to be able to put milorganite and some of these other organic fertilizers in your houseplants, but you don't like the way it smells. So you end up using those water-soluble fertilizers, but again, you just go back to adding salt to the soil.
It reminds me of the biosol.
Yeah,
John.
You're
The day I
is that
walked
my
into the
fish
house.
tank?
No, I thought something died. I go, did a rodent come in here and die?
Yeah.
Horrible.
John was mentioning about how the pothos are so easy to take care of, and they do so well, and he's going to start some new ones from cuttings,
Nice.
putting them in water, and wants to know if HB 101 would be good.
Ooh.
Yeah, a few drops in there would really help.
Can never hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing but good stuff.
Yeah, it
Nothing but
is.
good there.
We've got about 2 minutes, gentlemen.
All right. So John's
time.
not here next week. You and I are back. We're going to be talking birds.
Oh, really?
It's-
With?
Is it just
February-
birds? The whole wildlife thing?
I mean, we're going to expand, but it is national. I don't know if it's national.
It's
Bird
National
feeder?
Bird Feeding Week.
Bird feeding
Does
month.
that mean we have
Yeah.
to bring in
February.
Is it an
Right.
ornithologist?
Ornithologist.
Ornithologist, right?
Yeah.
That's a bird guy, right?
An ornithologist would be a cross between an orthodontist and an ornithologist.
Well, that's what I thought who our guest was.
they just deal with bird mouths.
See, this is a live show. I can't take that back and redo it.
Hen's teeth.
It's out there.
They would deal with hen's teeth.
I
Brian.
enjoyed when we were back in, was it Ohio?
Yeah,
At
Marysville,
Scott's,
Ohio. Yeah.
When they had this bird food
KT.
for
right?
wherever you live in the country,
Yeah.
regional bird food and they took us out there, and I thought it was fascinating.
I think it was a Scott's bird food, right?
Yes.
Right, didn't Scott's own KT, that brand?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
It could have been. They had an ornithologist on staff.
You sure it was an ornithologist and not what I said
It
originally?
was not an orthodontist.
That is the funny thing, because that was a big thing that they used to just put bird food out for the world, right?
Yeah, just
and then they
generic
didn't
bird food.
realize that regional it made a difference.
Exactly.
Like a bird that does not have this food naturally will not eat this food, kind of a thing. So
I
then
can
they
tell
had
you
to
right now, whatever my wife is using for bird food for the wild birds, they
attracts-
love it.
Yeah.
We got finches, we've got doves, we've got you name it. They're all
Well,
out there.
some people will buy bird food at grocery stores or home improvement stores where it's really cheap.
Yeah.
And the reason it's cheap is because it has Milo as a filler.
A lot of filler in those.
And birds don't eat Milo.
No.
No.
But it grows.
So when you see birds at your bird feeder and they're just kicking everything all over,
Yeah.
they're getting rid of the Milo to the stuff
Exactly.
they like.
Hey, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in today. John is off next week from Hawaii. Maybe he will call in. Maybe he won't.
Maybe.
He'll be on a hike. That 6-mile hike with his wife and other things too. For the entire crew, I want to thank Daniel, our webmaster, keeps things going behind the scenes. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe, and Tiger and myself will do it again next week right here on Garden America. Take care.